Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. One. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Like and subscribe. Now, Juan Manuel Marquez, great Mexican warrior, fighter, boxer, counterpuncher. He's in Mexico City. He's talking about a return. He says he would like to fight maybe 2 times this year and get his feet wet, see how his body has reacted to being on such a long layoff, being at an advanced boxing age. I think he's 40 or close to 40, and he's been on a long layoff. I believe his last fight, it's been so long, I don't even remember, but I believe the last fight off the top of my head was Mike Alvarado. I thought he looked damn good in that fight. He did get knocked down after he knocked Alvarado down, but he really dominated Alvarado, and Alvarado's much younger than him and whatnot, and I like Marquez. I told you he's one of my favorite counterpunchers. Now, in Mexico City, he did some interviews. He spoke with ESPN Deportes, and in the words of Diddy regarding Pacquiao, 5th fight, he says, I quote, "I am no longer interested in Pacquiao. They are saying the networks are willing to pay $60 million for a fight with Pacquiao in the Philippines. I wouldn't go to the Philippines for a fight with Pacquiao for $100 million. So he's saying no how, no way. He's not interested, and he's just kind of working in the gym, and he's going to leave that chapter closed, right? He also said, this year is a crucial year for me, whether I will return or not. It depends on how I feel physically. I have trained, I run, but it's not the same. So he's creeping up there in age, and he doesn't want to get knocked out of the ring like Bernard Hopkins. And that's not shade, that's a fact. Bernard Hopkins, pushed it. He had been the alien for so long, he probably felt like, you know what, these young boys can't compete with me. I got tricks up my sleeve and veteran experience, and he got in there with someone who I don't even think is necessarily more skilled, definitely not more seasoned than Bernard Hopkins, but he's solid, and he had momentum from the Fanfara fight, and that's Joe Smith Jr. He's hungry, solid, bigger than Bernard Hopkins, and he has power, which is evident. He got some dynamite in his gloves, and Bernard Hopkins maybe pushed the brink. It's like, how long can you beat the Jean Pascals and guys like Cairo Murad, even just guys, the Tavoris Clouds, Kelly Pavlik, all these guys that are much younger, bigger and stuff, and then Bernard Hopkins pushed it. So I think these older fighters are starting to, nobody wants to get knocked out the ring, trust me. No one wants to get knocked out in general, but that's just an ugly way to go out, you know what I mean? And I think Marquez is realistic. I think him and Nacho Beristain, one of boxing's great duos. I think they learned a lot from each other, and they have a great partnership. And it sounds like Marquez has a smart team to be saying these things. Now, for me as a fan, I like watching Marquez work. I think he's excellent. Some of his performances weren't like Bradley. I thought I thought that was a super dangerous fight, and I thought Bradley pretty much tamed him. You know what I mean? Even almost knocked him down in the 12th round. But I like Marquez. He's not as talented and gifted. He's very gifted, but he's not as good of a counterpuncher or overall ring IQ as a Floyd Mayweather, and that was evident when they fought. You know what I mean? He got dominated and knocked down. You guys can say whatever, it's because Floyd was too big. Floyd doesn't even use his weight to his advantage, because you guys say he runs and he's moving. So weight is not, it's not like he's just this Triple G style puncher. You know what I'm saying? Floyd gets away off of speed, reflex, technique, ring IQ, ring generalship, etc., and counterpunching, accuracy, and stuff like that. But I love Marquez. I think he's smart. I will give him credit. Initially, he knocked out Pacquiao, and he said immediately, "I'm content. I want my people, my country, all the Mexican fans to remember that moment as the everlasting moment in the Pacquiao fight saga," right? And when he said that immediately after, I was like, nah, Bob Arum's gonna talk him into some money. And I didn't think he would really stick to his guns like this. I really didn't. I thought Marquez, because we've seen it, you know what I mean? Money talks, and you know what I mean? Bob Arum throws some numbers, and he let's say he turns it down, and Bob Arum comes back with a stronger offer. I thought one of those offers were gonna get to Marquez, and he would probably bite the bullet and then fight Pacquiao and go against what he said. But it looks like for years, and it looks like based on this most current interview from ESPN Deportes, shout out to them, he's truly serious. He really wants to leave that chapter as it sits. And he says that I want that to be the memory. And I can honestly say I can't blame him for that, because he had all of his fights with Pacquiao were tough fights for him and Pacquiao, right? The first fight was a draw, which actually Pacquiao should have won the first fight, no questions asked, because one of the judges tallied their scorecard wrong and didn't give Pacquiao credit for the knockdown. Pacquiao had 3 knockdowns, and I think one judge only scored Pacquiao 2 knockdowns in round 1, but he should have, because they were all legit knockdowns, all ruled knockdowns, and the judge only gave him credit for 1. So I give Pacquiao that fight. It shouldn't have even been a draw. It was a close fight, and Marquez worked himself back into the fight, but the 3 knockdowns, if the judge would have tallied it accurately, Pacquiao would have won that. But fine, whatever. It was a draw. And it's surprising that Marquez, after 3 knockdowns in the first, being badly hurt, was even able to weather the storm. It looked like it was going to be Marco Antonio Barrera versus Pacquiao Part 2, or Eric Morales versus Pacquiao continued. And like, oh damn, another Pacquiao's just slaughtering the elite Mexican fighters of the time. You know what I mean? But Marquez bit down and got back to what he knows and gave Pacquiao a tough fight. But it should have been a Pacquiao win. They said it was a draw, whatever. But the second one, he got knocked down. Marquez got knocked down, and it was a very close fight. He buckled Pacquiao. You see Pacquiao almost do the stanky leg. He get hit with a solid ass right in his leg. And, you know, I mean, Pacquiao's super tough too, so he didn't get knocked down or anything, but that was a close ass fight. And that really could have went either way for a lot of people. I have to watch it again, but I think I had Marquez winning that, even with the knockdown. You know what I mean? Just a razor close fight. But the third fight, without a doubt in my mind, Marquez got robbed in that fight. I think if you look at the first 2 and the third, I thought out of all of those fights, that was the one where Marquez clearly won. You know what I'm saying? Where I didn't even think it would be up for debate. Pacquiao started off extremely slow. He was cheating on his wife, Jinky, and she was trying to divorce him, so he's probably depressed. He didn't look like he was in the best shape of his career. He didn't look good to me, like, throughout the fight. You know what I mean? He's still a fighter and stuff like that, but in that third fight, Pacquiao, he looked suspect to me. He didn't look like the normal Pacquiao from the first 2 fights. He had something on his mind or didn't train. I don't know, but I thought Marquez was controlling the early portion of the fight. Pacquiao, being a warrior, kind of fought back into the fight a little bit, but he was doing kind of what he did with Bradley, fighting in spurts, not fighting full 3-minute rounds, really. And I thought Marquez clearly won the third fight. So when it comes to the fourth fight, you guys traded knockdowns. Marquez had the first knockdown, and that was the first time he's even knocked Pacquiao down. Then Pacquiao came back, started beating it, and started punching his gloves together and stuff, and started really putting a hurting on Marquez. It looked like Marquez's nose was broken or busted. It was bleeding profusely, and it looked like he was coming close to stopping Marquez for the first time. Again, well, not stopping him for the first time, because he almost stopped him in the first fight, but it looked like, actually it would be the first time that if he actually pulled the trigger and stopped him. So I said it right. But out of nowhere, Pacquiao did this little stutter step feint and got caught with a perfectly landed right, timed perfect to perfection, and Marquez blasted him out of this planet, and then he face planted. So, I mean, I can't blame Marquez for wanting, after feeling robbed in 3 fights, he was even wearing shirts like, I beat Pacquiao, I beat Pacquiao. And see, this is the thing, people don't really study the sport all the time. You know what I mean? I'm not saying not everyone doesn't, but I do. I really look at this. Notice Pacquiao has had so many rematches, right? So many rematches in his career. Like, if you look at maybe 4 different people, there's 12 fights between them. Like, he fought Barrera 2 times, he fought Eric Morales 3 times, he fought Bradley 3 times, he fought Marquez 4 times, etc. Right? And that's a lot of, you know what I mean? That's like a whole portion of his career versus like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd's fighting a fresh face, and he's only had to rematch 2 fighters that were somewhat controversial, Castillo and then Maidana. I didn't even think the Maidana was all that controversial. I thought Maidana did better than most people want or expected him to do, because people were saying before that fight, oh, Maidana's slow, flat-footed, Floyd's clearly going to outbox him. And when they seen he put on a show and was really going for it, then since they don't like Floyd, they said, oh, Floyd, you lost. It was close. It was closer than anyone thought. It was a good fight. He hit you, and you know what I mean, he was had you in the ropes and stuff. So they just wanted Maidana to win. But if you actually score that fight, I think Floyd won that. I think the Castillo, if anything, was a much closer fight for Floyd Mayweather, right? But anyway, going back to the Marquez and Pacquiao thing, it's just like there's no reason to fight him again after you felt you've been robbed. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Pacquiao's fought the same group of guys a multitude of times, right? And now you finally get one up on him, and he wants to rematch and whatever. And see, this is the thing. You look at the immediate rematches that have happened in boxing, or you look at the close controversial fights, a lot of them have happened immediately. Like look at Lennox Lewis when he got knocked out by Hasim Rahman, and then go to BoxRec and see when the rematch happened, right? You go look at, like I said, Floyd Mayweather versus Maidana. He fought Maidana the same year Maidana gave him the close fight, right? And he rematched him. Same thing with Castillo. He fought Castillo, and about 5 or 6 months later, in between that time in his off season, he had shoulder surgery because he said he hurt his rotator cuff, and then he rematched Castillo that same year and shut people up. Like, okay, here's Castillo's opportunity to, if he's such a good fighter and he's much better than me, I'm gonna have 2 arms, and let's see him beat me a second time. If you guys think he beat me. And then obviously Floyd convincingly beat Castillo in the rematch. But when it comes to Pacquiao Marquez, go look at the rematches. They took years. Floyd and Marquez was chasing Pacquiao. He was wearing like "I beat Pacquiao twice" shirts and all this stuff. And it took years. It was like 3-4 years in between part 1 and part 2, etc. You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden you get knocked out and you want some get back, and you think you learn from your mistakes. So Marquez is like, nope, I'm gonna leave it just like that. I had to chase you down after 3 fights. I thought I won at least 2 of them or all of them or whatever. So I'm gonna leave it like that. But I will note to this, Pacquiao at some point did give him rematches. So, you know what I mean? There's an argument you can make there. And more importantly for me as a boxing fan, I would love to see Marquez 5 compared to Jeff Horn. I think that's like sad times for Pacquiao if he fights a guy like Jeff Horn, which is looking like a strong candidate. You know what I mean? So as a boxing fan, the Pacquiao Marquez fights are always tough and always back and forth gritty action, and they push each other. So if it comes down to it, I would rather see that over Jeff Horn. So that's my thoughts on Marquez. He says even for 100 milli, he ain't coming back. So obviously he made some smart investments and he's not starving for cash to the point, and that's good for him, because if you don't manage your money right, then you're in the position you're at people's mercy, and then you have to come back and fight till you're 50, even though you're taking losses that you shouldn't have taken and stuff like that. But if you make the right investments and manage your career and money, and then diversify your money, like start training fighters, open up a gym like the Romanza gym or something, and start having income come outside of your life as a fighter, then it's beneficial, because now when people throw all this money at you, you're not starving for cash, or you're like, oh, okay, fuck it, I gotta fight Pacquiao again, and maybe get robbed or maybe get knocked out or anything. I can leave it on my terms, and that's what you want to do in life. That's why with this YouTube stuff, I enjoy it, because I've worked my whole life since I was 14. I've always had a job, right? But this is the first time I'm doing for me, and I'm doing something that I want to do, and I'm trying to make the right investments, and you know what I mean, just get the brand out there. And it's more rewarding when it's something that you created, right? So just for the independent hustlers or the entrepreneurial mindset, you guys start doing stuff for yourself and managing your life. You know what I mean? No one's gonna look at you. You can have family and friends and stuff, that's great, have a good team, but you ultimately are responsible for you more so than anybody else. So it's good to see Marquez be able to stick to his gun and kind of dictate and mandate where his career goes. Like, I don't have to fight that guy a 5th time. I'm good. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.